Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion. Let's take a look at a video.
Here's some evidence that Jesus actually existed.
All right, let's see it.
First, Golgotha, meaning place of the skull. This is thought to be the place where Jesus was really crucified. You can even see the resemblance of the skull in the rock to this day.
Well, some people think that, and it's really only Protestants, and it's really only been since 1842 when a German preacher named Otto Thenius was staying at a nearby hotel and looked out over this rocky outcropping and was like, hey, that reminds me of a skull. Maybe that's where Golgotha really was. And then over the next few decades, there were other military men and German preachers who came there and liked the idea. And then in 1883, Major General Charles George Gordon popularized the idea. But apart from the fact that the rocky outcropping reminds some people of a skull, there are absolutely no data that are supportive of identifying it as Golgotha.
Next, we have the Garden Tomb, not far from Golgotha. Due to its close proximity, this is thought to be the place where Jesus was brought after his crucifixion. He was then placed just behind where these bars now are.
Yeah, no, the archaeological data even more clearly preclude this as the location of Jesus' burial. To begin, that is an Iron Age rock-cut bench tomb. That dates to the 8th or 7th centuries BCE. It would have been in use for many centuries before Jesus was ever born, and the account of Jesus' burial says it was a newly carved tomb in which no one had been laid before. And the style is all wrong as well. In the 1st century, the tombs would have had benches, but also would have had a bunch of holes in the walls for ossuaries to be placed in after the bones had been gathered, after the corpse had sufficiently decomposed. And then outside, people think that the track in front of the opening to the tomb would have held the stone that rolled in front of the opening of the tomb. But that track is actually a watering trough, and it dates to the Crusader period when that area was used as an animal pen. So that's definitely not Jesus' tomb.
Next, we have the actual nails from a real crucifixion dating back over 2,000 years. The nails were found in the tomb of Caiaphas, which was the high priest involved in the trial of Jesus.
So this is actually conflating two different pieces of archaeological data. The image of the ankle bone with the nail driven through it does come from a 1st century CE burial near Jerusalem. Comes from an ossuary that has the name Yehochanan ben Chagkol inscribed on the outside of it. It does not come from Caiaphas's tomb. That's the other piece of archaeological data. There were nails discovered within Caiaphas's tomb. However, those nails have not been linked with any crucifixion at all. They're just some stray nails. They may or may not have had something to do with a crucifixion, but there's absolutely nothing that connects them to this image of the ankle bone with the nail driven through it, and nothing connects them to Jesus either.
And lastly, the Shroud of Turin. The image on the shroud seems to be of a man around the same time frame and location of Christ. There's no paint or etching found on the shroud, yet there is a clear image of a man which looks very similar to Christ. No one has been able to explain it, even though it's been through intense scrutiny, leading people to believe this is the real burial cloth of Jesus.
The Shroud of Turin is a 14th century forgery. In fact, our first reference to it anywhere in the historical record is a local bishop saying, hey, this is a forged artifact that was part of a money-making scheme. And there have been a number of analyses that have been conducted that have shown this dates to the 14th century, and there have also been reproductions that have shown you can replicate the features of the shroud. Now, of course, they have to simulate things like many centuries passing, and they do this using heat, and so it doesn't match up exactly because we haven't yet found a way to precisely simulate the passing of multiple centuries. But there are explanations for how the image got on the shroud. There are just a lot more people who don't want to accept that it is a forgery. And the fit for this video has been LeVar Burton says read banned books.